There we go.
We got the two faithfuls.
We've got Tim and Mike.
Marion Faithful, and
Yes.
who's the other faithful?
I don't know. Didn't she just die recently, Marianne Faithful?
Oh, I don't know. Did they bury her with her shoes off? Didn't she used to sing a lot with without shoes on?
Barefoot,
I know
yeah.
Sandy Shaw did. That was her thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But there you
No
go.
idea what they're talking about.
Marianne Faithfull, didn't she famously get together with Mick Jagger and a chocolate Mars bar? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
Oh, I think that was Marianne Faithfull. I think it was.
So what did he do with the... never mind.
Never mind.
I'm assuming he eventually ate it, but
Oh!
but you never know with Mick Jagger. Right.
I'm sure.
Hello, Mike.
I'm sure Mike and
Pipers.
Tim
Hello,
really enjoyed
Tim
that.
Van Ram.
Our
Pardon me
Marianne
while I-
Faithfuls.
Yep,
Chomp
it
on
is
things.
Marianne Faithfull and Mick Jagger. Good for you, Nick.
Have you found someone to corroborate the
Well, no,
rumor?
I just saw the headline.
Have you tried Googling Marianne Faithfull, Mick Jagger, and a Mars bar?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And there's a long story about it, and I won't read it to you here, but I'll send you the link. Here you
It's
go.
all right. I could Google it myself, don't worry.
There you go, boys. In your chat. Hi, Masha.
Oh, no, at least we got someone now to keep the tone up now. Masha's
Exactly.
here.
Now, I guess you guys all change your clocks tonight, yeah? I think you
I guess we... no, 2 o'clock in the morning, isn't it? 2
Yeah,
o'clock on Sunday morning?
did. Well, isn't that tonight?
No, that's tomorrow. Tomorrow morning.
Are you going to get up at 2 o'clock and do it, or are you going to do it before you go to
My
bed?
clocks do it by themselves.
Yeah.
Except for the ones that don't.
Your
except for the
car and
oven,
everything?
Microwave.
Oh, the car will do it on its own.
Yeah, my car does it itself. But I have
Yeah, the
several that I...
microwave won't. It's not connected
My
to
stove,
the
my
internet.
microwave, yeah. Anyway, you do change
What's
your
a-
time.
What's a want away candy bar? Never heard of that.
Yeah, I don't
Want
know that.
away.
That's what it says. We look back at the legendary rumor and a want away candy bar.
I don't know what that means.
Don't know.
Interesting. From Far Out magazine.
Far
That's
out.
Far Out, man.
Far out.
Far Out.
So
So I
yeah,
had to
it's
have a
it's
little bit
just
to eat
it's
before.
just the gray-headed three of us today, guys. It's just us.
And you're more than welcome to stay in the...
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, just the
But
two
thank you.
old
Thank you.
retired airline pilots.
Yep. We got some good stuff in the news, I have to say. Patting myself on the back.
Yeah, it's all right.
What is it you're eating there, Jeff? Mars bar? A keto snack mix. Oh. Are you doing the keto thing now?
No, it's just I like this. I like all the stuff they have in here.
Is that from Costco?
Yeah,
I think I've seen it at Costco here.
yeah, it's really tasty. No, I used to not like these big, what do they call them? Brazil nuts, I think.
Oh yeah, I love Brazil nuts.
But I don't know. I'm starting to.
A Brazil, just
Appreciate
getting
them more.
just having a Brazilian there.
Yeah,
Quite
I love the
right.
Brazilians.
Now, my
right.
dad used to show me that. He said, how much oil do you think there is in one of these Brazilians? And he'd get out his lighter and he'd light it like a candle, and you could sit and watch the end of this nut just burn all
Really?
the oil
Yeah.
inside it. Ooh.
Nice. It's good oil though.
Oh, see, good for you, yeah.
I think nuts in general cue
Yeah,
the
it's,
snide
monosaturated.
remarks
Yep.
are good for you.
The only iffy ones...
After I've had a shower, my nuts aren't oily at all.
No, I should hope not to. Well, it depends if you grease yourself down after a shower. I don't know.
What do we say? The only bad nut is what?
Cashews, because
Yeah.
there are a lot of carbohydrates in cashews. which
I
aren't
think
in
I think
other nuts.
macadamia nuts aren't great for you either. They're delicious. I love macadamia.
Macadamia nuts are great for like low carb. They're very low carb.
Ah, well, there you see, that's the kind of nut I like.
I love macadamia nuts, just the taste of them, though. Okay. Are you going to stop snacking and get recording?
Well, I guess so.
Have you got your recorder on?
No,
Okay.
Why? Why should I have that
Just
on?
thought I'd ask.
it's kind of a personal question.
I'm already uploading.
I love it.
I'm preloading, I must be, because it's right at the beginning of the show.
Preloading.
That's what the girls do when they're going for a night out.
Yeah, they go.
And
They drink
sit
at
in their
home.
room and drink all
Yeah.
the vodkas that they've pinched off the aeroplane, so
Right.
they don't have to buy so many drinks when they're out.
You don't-
Your
you know.
airline experience is so foreign to me.
Oh, well, if you're just going out with a bunch of poor 20-something-year-olds, because they didn't get paid very much, you kind of lay over all this. I mean, you know very well how a layover it's going to be when the girls start handing out water bottles off the aeroplane that are full of alcohol.
Full of vodka. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they pinch all the, because we used to have full bottles, we didn't have miniatures. They pinch all the, and they just empty, liters of various drinks in, and usually top it off with an inch of orange juice or something. So it,
Making a
has the right
screwdriver.
colour.
Making a screwdriver.
and then you'd be going back in the bus, want a swig? So I'll have one of those. And you go, oh my God.
I'm a little dehydrated.
What's in this? Oh dear. But that'll be in a plain tale to come, I think.
Yeah, it will.
Oh, can't wait.
This will be
night
all
down
sorts
the
of
route
all
with the
sorts of
girls.
escapades.
Well, a few of them, yeah.
Yeah, the rest are going to
The
be in
ones
your
that you
book.
can-
In the book.
In the book, yes.
Yeah.
To be published posthumous.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
Posthumously.
pretty certain I told you about the girl fight there was in the bar in South Africa.
Yeah.
Yes, I think about that often, actually.
Yeah, the cat fight there was, yes.
Kind of excites Jeff.
Well,
You
he
know,
had one
I'll
of
take
our
what I can
girls
get.
climbing all over him in the top of the hotel in Atlanta.
What?
I've got the picture, Jeff,
Oh.
Yeah, that was just
of this
think
girl with her.
I think I
she's
do remember that.
she's got
actually,
her
the picture.
legs up around your hips and hanging onto you for dear.
Well,
Oh,
sadly,
that was-
nothing came of it.
Well, I was just going to say, sadly,
Oh,
that was Jeff. Back when Jeff was married. Now it might be a different story.
That's
yeah.
true.
Okay. Are
Let
we
me think about that for a while. Okay.
Are we gonna edit this part of the show? I'm just curious.
No.
No,
Well, this is not going to be in the podcast.
no. But
Fair
it'll be
Okay.
Okay.
But it will be in the video, so
it will, yeah.
you're welcome, video watchers. All right. So we've done some sound checks. How is the level between
Yeah.
the
had-
three of us?
We've had no level
Yes.
comments.
Are we on the
yet.
level?
Are we on the straight and level?
That takes some doing,
Yeah.
actually, being on
Well,
the
it
straight.
By the way,
level.
Captain Nick,
Yes,
when
sir.
I went on to check to make sure that the YouTube APG on YouTube was updated, I noticed that the latest Plaintail was listed as one of the new podcasts. I went, so
Oh no!
I went. So I had set it up improperly. I had chosen podcast for the category, and it's supposed to be
I didn't spot that.
Plaintail.
Sorry.
And I went, no, it's
okay.
my fault. Don't apologize.
Well,
So
it's
I
happened
went-
before, so I usually check just to see.
Well, I
Thank
did
you,
have
Matt.
your name, as the author, and usually I wish that would automatically, set the category to Plaintail, but it doesn't. So I had one of the two set properly. So anyway,
Matt-
I went in there and readjusted everything.
Oh, thanks very much.
Masha and Mike say we're sounding fine.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Brilliant.
yeah. So hopefully that won't screw up anybody's podcast
I don't care.
stuff.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't
I've
care.
run out again. By the
Once
way,
it's
There's only one
recorded,
in
we
there
don't
to
care.
do, so
Okay, I guess I'm going to have a couple now after this show.
you will after today. You'll have a
And I'll get the spreadsheet updated at some point, Nick.
no big deal. But I do actually use it, but mainly for people inquiring as to where they
Yeah,
find
I did
these
ask him,
things.
Tim. I think he's got his recorder on, but thanks for the reminder.
I have my Reaper recorder on, and let me do the
Like
interface.
your drone.
The Mix Pre 2, Mix Pre 10 is on as well as a backup, and I think that we're recording over here. Yep, on the video.
Very good.
Okay, so I think
We're ready to rock and roll?
we're ready. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're gonna find out, I
Forward
guess.
to it.
All righty.
And let's try to make it like 2 hour ish.
Okay.
If that's all right. Maybe a little bit more. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
Doesn't need to be a super long one. That's what she said.
that's what she said.
Um,
Okay.
That's what the girls pay for, though.
I've never had a girl pay me anything.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG, it's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 656.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded on the week of March 24th, 2025.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Put your light and he's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
Okay,
In
no
today's
problem.
episode, a power substation fire near Heathrow disrupts flights throughout Europe, and an airline captain is prosecuted for not maintaining contact with air traffic control. Also ahead, more news, your feedback, and today's RAF plane tale. So get all settled in, tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions, electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 656 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He is an award-winning TV and radio reporter, currently at the /1 all-news station in
New York City!
Now, let me try that again. Where is Evernote? And what I was trying to say, Liz, is that you were unmuted, so that was coming over StreamYard.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
No problem. I shouldn't have been. And just to say, iterate again that I didn't fix the issue with your missing intro music.
Okay.
Just realized it like when the intro was starting. Went, oh yeah, because I looked down at my Stream Deck panel and your button is not there.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so let me do the very end of that intro, and then I'll fix this in post. All right. And let's go to Farrago and do this and...
New York!
No.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 656 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He's an award-winning TV and radio reporter, currently at the /1 all-news station in the nation. 1010 wins on 92.3 FM in
New York City!
Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, former U.S. Air Force pilot and retired Delta Airlines captain. Joining me today from his studio. No, that's the wrong one.
Nope, that's the wrong one.
Okay. I pushed the wrong button again. And joining me today from his studio,
In Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
retired professional dog photographer, former RAF RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330 A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick.
Hi there, Jeff. Lovely to be back on. Just the two of us. Oh, isn't that a shame?
Just the two.
Anyway, show 656. You know, there was a Army Air Corps squadron in Hong Kong, which was numbered 656, and they had a dog, a little dog as a mascot called Radar.
Aww.
Aw. And then there was a series
Character
of
in MASH.
Indeed,
character
there
in
was.
MASH.
In fact, they were both described the same way. The dog Radar was described as 15 pounds of fighting fury.
And the guy, the character on MASH, suffered from fleas, apparently. Okay. Yeah, coincidentally. Also joining us from her studio in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, retired financier and aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and our producer. It's the lovely Liz Piper.
Happy Saturday, everybody. Here we are.
Yeah. Do
Here
we
we
get
are.
double pay on Saturday?
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Well,
we
time
do.
and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
double.
okay,
That's pushing it.
Double on Sunday, I hope.
Okay, you
We'll
guys.
have to consult with our labor law
yeah.
attorneys.
Employment
on
attorney.
staff. Yes.
Bye, everybody. Have a good show.
Catch you later.
Bye-bye. I told you that I wasn't feeling 100%. 100%. Let's go. I'm screwing up everything here. At least I'm not falling over. I still feel a little dizzy, but yeah, anyway. Okay. Let's do some news.
Stand by for news.
Alrighty, we're going to start off with a story from France, or France, if you'd prefer. And it involves a video. Let me set it up a little bit. Two Alpha jets from the French Air Force collided midair during training over air base in Saint-Dizier. Is that right? Did I get that right? Yeah. Okay.
Saint Dizier. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
Saint Dizier. Yeah, that's me right now.
Well, that's what happened
I'm
to
not
the
a
two
saint, but I am
pilots, I
dizzy.
think.
Let's see, an accident involving two Patrie de France. I don't know, Patrie?
That's good. Yeah.
Patrie de France. Alpha jets during rehearsals has just occurred. Yes. That's according to Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu. The accident occurred in eastern France near Airbase 113 in Saint-Dizier in Haute-Marne. Okay, let's, before I get into any more trouble with the pronunciation of French things, I'm going to play I need to share the video, don't I? You're not going to see a thing. Maybe I should go back to bed. Yeah, I'm definitely. Okay, so we're gonna put this on the stage, and then when we're finished with this, Liz, you just click on the third from the left layout button, and that'll automatically put us where we need to be. Oh, okay.
Well, if you put it
Well-
over the other side of the room.
Okay.
Sorry. You guys were speaking on the back channel. I didn't realize. Sorry.
No, we were not. We're speaking on StreamYard.
Oh, right.
This is all stuff that's going to be deleted when I edit this.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. Okay. Are we all ready for this video? All right, here we go. Okay, they're in a ship formation. Not sure what this is called, this maneuver. They're kind of doing a loop and a twist. Yeah, and then toward the bottom part of the loop here, two of the trailing aircraft collide. And now we're seeing some footage of the aftermath of a cement plant, I think, or cement plant, as they say in Georgia. And there's some pilot or passenger parachuting.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's what we have for the video. So, oh, okay, here, I'll take care of it. That's okay, Liz.
It's so nice to work with these professionals, isn't it?
Are you dizzy too, Liz?
Golly.
Hey, folks that are in the live chat or watching the video, are you not enjoying this? This is this is fun. Okay, no problem. Let's see. So let me get back to Evernote. Okay. Let's see. It says 3 pilots managed to eject safely. I'm not sure if that's true. I think there were only 2 pilots and a passenger. Perhaps the passenger was a pilot? I don't know. March 25th, 2025, just a few days ago, a serious aviation incident unfolded when 2 Alpha jets from the renowned Patrie de France collided during a training exercise. We talked about that before. The crash occurred at 3:35 p.m. local time. They were doing a practice demonstration practice, and eyewitness accounts reveal the chaotic moments that followed the collision. This dude was working at a nearby cement factory. Reported that he saw the planes perform maneuvers just before the accident. He said, "I wanted to film them, but I thought I would have more time since they were scheduled to be there all week." That's what he thought.
How annoying. I wanted to film them the one time they were going to crash. Yeah.
I know. Then I heard a double boom and saw smoke. The debris from the aircraft landed alarmingly close to his home, prompting immediate concern. He said, "I saw a pilot with his parachute land on a pile of rocks. At the moment, it's shocking. My mom was at home, and I thought it could have been her." What, is he confusing his mom with rocks?
What?
A pile of rocks? Yeah, I don't know.
She
That doesn't
flies
make any
Alpha
sense.
jets as well.
I think there might be an error in the translation here. Yeah. Let's see. Further investigation revealed that the 2 Alpha jets, which were part of a formation of 7, I miscounted, I guess, collided midair during a complex aerial maneuver. Let's see. While one aircraft crashed into a silo at the cement plant, the other went down in a marshy, wooded area close by. By 4:20, emergency services had located the 3 pilots, 2 of whom were transferred to the hospital in Saint-Dizier with non-life-threatening injuries. The 3rd pilot, described as polytraumatized.
I looked it up.
Okay.
If you're yeah, exactly, Liz.
Yeah.
Many injuries. If you're polytraumatized, you've got multiple injuries to multiple areas of your body. So you could have injured several organs or broken bones in several different areas. You could have, damaged your back and your head and various other bits and bobs. So sounds like that poor person is in a pretty bad way.
Bad shape.
Yeah, and often a polytraumatized patient will suffer life-changing injuries, so that's not good.
No, that's not. And this article keeps referring to all 3 as pilots, so maybe the quote-unquote passenger was actually a pilot as well.
Yeah.
That's
because
all
they
the
were in
information
their
we have.
training, their run-up, weren't they? They were training up for the next season, so they may have got a new pilot in the back, or they may have had a safety pilot in the back of one of the airplanes.
Yep.
Well, if it was
the
a safety
pilot
pilot, no, it didn't work.
He was snoozing back there.
But if they might have been, the two might have been in the aircraft in front that got hit. So
Yeah, it does look like, according to
don't
the
know.
video, looking at the video, that that one trailing one was trying to get back into position and hit the one ahead of it. Yeah.
yeah, it looks like they were doing a 3/4 loop with a turn in it, with a twist in it, but on the way down they went into a bomb burst where they all spread out. But I've watched a longer bit of video and gone frame by frame, and those two aircraft broke away, but they definitely slowed up. They didn't descend as fast as the rest of the formation, so they've dropped back. Now, whether both of them dropped back or just the leader of that little element dropped back, and as such, the other aircraft lost sight of them, and in an attempt to keep up with the main formation, just flew into him. I really don't know. It might have been that leading aircraft of that pair had a fault with the aircraft, which caused him to slow up. But regardless, whoever's behind and in sight is duty bound to avoid
Not hit the
the
other.
collision. It's very hard to avoid the collision of someone who's coming up behind you. But we're going to find out. There may be lots of mitigation for this, let alone the fact that they're training up. So, but they were, of course, very lucky to get out. No, they didn't have long to eject and organize, but they've probably got 0 seats. So long as you're not descending too fast, and of course they were actually descending quite fast, you can you can eject with 0 speed from ground level if they've got 0 seats, which I suspect they have. The Alpha Jet's pretty modern trainers, so you've just then got to think about a tenth of the rate of descent converted into an altitude, and that's your minimum usual safe ejection height. But I think they had plenty of time to get out, because the actual breakup occurred quite early in that maneuver. So they probably had several hundred feet, and they had well-developed parachutes by the time that they had got out of their ejector seats. So if you've seen ejections from ground level, the parachute deploys so late that the pilot normally gets to swing just once before they crump into the ground. So these guys had time to look around and go, "Aha! What happened? I don't know."
Bam.
Was it a boom? Yeah,
Our apologies.
I'll continue to insult France in my next plain tale.
Well, wait. But before we do, could you go back to one of those first slides that you were showing on the on this particular news item? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I only see 6.
Yeah.
I don't know why they said 7 in the.
Well, perhaps the 7th one is the invisible one that caused the accident. Although I suspect the journalist, I suspect when they go to an air show, there's normally 7 of them. And like the Red Arrows, they have one extra airplane, which is a spare airplane. And then flying that is the manager of the display team who does all the quacking.
Yeah, the same
does the
thing
commentary.
with the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels and all that kind of stuff. Same
exactly.
sort
It's
of
pretty
thing.
standard.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to stop picking on the French and start picking on the British. So Captain Nick, would you do the honors, please, for this?
Oh,
next
good
item?
Lord! I've got to read this. Oh, this is a penalty for me being rude to Jeff earlier. So we've got a story here which is about Heathrow Airport, which has resumed flights following a power outage, and it's from the BBC. Oh, look, there's a Virgin Atlantic aircraft bathed in light, which comes from electricity. How clever that is. So it goes on to say Heathrow flights resume after forced shutdown, and it was a fire-forced shutdown. So several major airlines have said they'll resume flights as some overnight restrictions are lifted. Flights have resumed and a full service is expected on Saturday. That's today. Following... Oh, it's a week ago.
Last Saturday.
All right, then. Following unprecedented loss of power caused by nearby substation fire. So substation is just a distribution area that collects power from a more powerful source and distributes it to houses and things and airports in this case. So about 200,000 passengers were affected as flights were grounded throughout Friday, with inbound planes being diverted to other airports in Europe after flames ripped through the North Hyde plant in Hayes, West London on Thursday evening. Now, the airport's chief executive, Thomas Worldby, which I think is not a bad name for someone who runs an airport. You go, Worldby, I'm off to Hong Kong.
I don't see the R in that word, but okay.
Oh, Worldby. All right, then. Well, it's not. It
sounds like you're
just
saying world.
Yeah,
Worldby.
it does.
Yeah.
So anyway, he apologized to stranded passengers and said the disruption was as big as it gets for our airport. Well, I'm going to go, what about the fire that occurred in your fuel depot a few years back that had a very similar effect on the airport because there was no aviation fuel to be had. However, as big as it gets for our airport, and that it could not guard itself 100%. Well, that's there's very few things in life that you can guarantee 100% of. The Met Police confirmed the fire was not believed to be suspicious. That's good because they did involve the terrorist branch of the Metropolitan Police to see if it was terrorist associated, and nice to know they don't think that happened. So as passengers waited aboard flights as they resumed from Terminal 5 on Friday evening, the investigation will focus on the electrical distribution equipment, the force said. British Airways announced 8 of its long-haul flights have been cleared to leave during the Friday evening and was urgently contacting customers to let them know. Well, I hope they got enough passengers on board to make it worthwhile. But there you go. Restrictions on overnight flights have also been temporarily lifted. Normally there's a curfew from about 11 at night till 6 in the morning. The DOT, the Department of Transport, says. Passengers have been advised to contact their airlines for latest updates. That is always what is required. The airport won't be able to tell you what your airline is doing. So always go first to your airline. Mr. Worldby said that a backup transformer had failed, meaning systems had to be closed down in accordance with safety procedures so that power supplies could be restructured from the 2 remaining substations to restore electricity enough to power the airport. That's interesting. So it seems to indicate that they had a backup transformer, but it had failed. So they had to close down staff according with safety procedures. So I've heard various news reports while this has been going on, several of which have said there was always enough power to feed the airport. But the biggest problem was that when the airport first went down, the power lost. All the generators they have on the airport fired up without any problem at all. But they would only keep things like runway lights, like the radar going, like air traffic control systems working, all the things you need to safely land aircraft that might be on final approach or in the process of landing. In other words, you just keep the essentials going on the airfield to keep it safe. And that's a requirement of almost any commercial airport. However, those generators were never going to be enough to supply the entire airport, which, all the baggage conveyor belts, all the passenger terminals, all the kitchens in the restaurants in the airport, all that kind of stuff would be considered less important than the vital infrastructure, safety infrastructure. So that would not be powered. And after that had all closed down, even when they started reconnecting the airport from different electric sources, it took a lot of time to go round and get every single, safety system in the airport reset so that it could accept power again. That's as I kind of understood it. Several airlines announced they'd restart scheduled flights, including British Airways, Air Canada, well done Air Canada, and United Airlines. Well, we won't talk about them. An airport spokesman said the first flights were focused on repatriating the passengers who were diverted to other airports in Europe and relocating aircraft. Yeah, that's generally speaking what you try and do when you've had one of these hassles, get all the airplanes back to where they should be. Mr. Worldby said, I'd like to stress that this has been an incident of major severity. It's not a small fire. Well, yeah, I think the size of the substation, the fact that it powered a large area of London as well as the airport is the thing, not the size of the fire. But we've lost power equal to that of a mid-sized city, and our backup systems have been working as they should, but they're not sized to run the entire airport. Asked if there was a weak point in Heathrow's power system, he said, "You can say that. I think they just did. But, of course, contingencies of certain sizes, we cannot guard ourselves against 100%, and this is one of them." And I think that's probably fair. When you get a major power outage to a significant portion of a city, which includes an airport, you're going to get some disruption. It was sad that it went on for so long. I would have hoped they could have recovered the situation from alternative power sources quicker, but apparently not.
Well, it turns out in further investigations of this, this happened about a week ago. They actually found out. They think they know what happened here. Feedback 8. Not only did Jimmy fail to get his frisbee back from the substation, he grounded every plane at Heathrow Airport. So there's a photo there that was taken by security cameras. Jimmy, yeah, Jimmy, come on,
wow.
It's his fault.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I
That's
told you
from,
you shouldn't have done that.
Sam Dawson, thank you, sir. He said the real cause of the Heathrow fire.
Exactly.
Appreciate that. And we're going to also learn in a later news item about the special air services. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
Let's do that one as well. Great.
Okay.
They of course, have added, what's the final thing they always say for when they've had one of these incidents? We'll make sure that any lessons we need to learn from the system are learned.
Yes, we are very sorry.
Lessons
We
will be
promise
learned.
that we'll learn some lessons from this.
Yeah,
try
we'll
to
do
do
better
better,
next
yes.
time.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, and Jimmy has been punished suitably.
By the
He's
way,
not
the
gonna
fire,
receive his allowance for a little while now.
yeah, the
Yes.
fire involved a cooling fluid that kept this substation at the right temperature, which was 25,000 litres, that's 5,500 gallons of highly flammable oil.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cooling liquid got hot. And
Yeah.
just a tip, don't smoke cigarettes near this cooling liquid. Yeah, Jimmy was smoking.
Bad,
Getting his
bad
frisbee.
Jimmy.
Well, that's enough of that. Let's move on.
Indeed.
This next one is includes a video. Let me set it up. An Endeavor Air. This is from Simon Radecki, his Aviation Herald website. An Endeavor Air Canadair CRJ 900 Okay, you'll remember that's the same aircraft airline and aircraft type that was involved in the accident at Toronto. Operated on behalf of Delta Airlines, registration November 185 Golf Juliet, performing flight 4814 from Jacksonville to New York. Was attempting to land on LaGuardia's runway 22 about 22:10 local time, so it's dark, but struck the left wing onto the runway and went around. The aircraft positioned for another approach to runway 22 and landed without further incident about 20 minutes later. And METARs for the time frame of this incident, looks like they were landing on 22. The winds were out of the south, 180, anywhere from 17 steady to 22, and then gusting to 36 knots. So 40 degrees off, gusting to 36. So it was a little windy. Let's listen now to some audio from liveatc.net.
Endeavor 4814, ILS 22.
Endeavor 4814, number 2, wind 2001, I got 24.22, please land.
Middle land 22, Endeavor 4814.
Okay. We're supposed to read this, but we've already talked about this.
I got it. I have the aircraft.
Didn't mean to transmit
Endeavor
that.
4814, runway heading 2000.
Runway heading 2000, Endeavor 4814.
Osprey 311, runway 22.
Endeavor 4814, climb maintain 3000, you okay?
3000, Endeavor 4814, we're good.
Endeavor 4814, contact approach at 127.3, I'll see you on your way back.
273, Endeavor 4814.
Yep.
Approach Endeavor 4814, guys 2000 to 3000.
Endeavor 4814 New York, your radar contact to southwest of LaGuardia, and you ready to go back in?
We're ready, Endeavor 4814.
Okay, expect to turn back shortly, speed 180 when you're able.
Speed 180 when able. And we'll expect Endeavor 4814.
Thank you. Endeavor 4814, they're saying on the go, somebody saw some sparks from one of your wings. You guys feel anything?
Yeah, I feel horrible.
We'll check it. Thanks, Endeavor 4814.
Endeavor 4814, hold 170 till Greco, contact LaGuardia Tower, 1187.
I feel shame.
170 to Greco over to
Yeah.
Tower, Endeavor 4814. Tower, Endeavor 4814, ILS 22.
Endeavor 4814, glad to tell you are now number 2. Wind is 190.17.31. Did the approach controller give you the heads up when you did the missile approach over here?
Affirmative, Endeavor 4814.
Okay. Yeah, you're clear to land on way 22.
Clear to land 22, Endeavor 4814.
I have the emergency trucks on my frequency.
Carter 0, will you?
Yeah, the subject aircraft shall final.
Carter 0, copy, subject aircraft, short flight.
Okay. So that's a little interesting. At the very beginning, so a little discrepancy, I think, from what I read from Aviation Herald and what we heard on liveatc.net. And that is when exactly the wingtip struck the runway and caused sparks and that kind of thing. Simon kind of makes it sound like that's what caused them to go around. However, I think that during the transfer of aircraft control and going around is when the wingtip actually hit. So it was definitely not, at the very end, it was not a stabilized approach, apparently, because the captain, you could hear, he accidentally transmitted because his hand's probably on the yoke and probably hits the mic transmit button on the yoke when he's taking control of the aircraft. Again, this is my speculation, but you hear him say, I got it, you know. So he is, I think the captain's taking over control of the aircraft from the first officer, and then you hear her voice on the radio. So again, another indication to me that there was a transfer of aircraft control, an unstabilized approach at the end, and he's performing this go around. And while he's doing that, I think is when the wingtip struck the runway. I don't know. What do you think? Captain Nick.
No, I think you're exactly right. There's not a lot of clearance on a low-wing airplane like this, and I don't think the CRJ, unlike the airplanes that I flew, the wings tend to bend up as you're in the flare land, so you get extra ground clearance. It sounds to me, I reckon their wings stay pretty flat. And so, and they haven't got huge undercarriage, so there's not a lot of, you can't allow the aircraft to bank a lot. Kicking off the drift in a crosswind landing, they didn't have a huge crosswind, but it was gusty, and that can make life difficult. Is always a little bit fraught because you are motoring the fuselage straight so that the undercarriage is aligned with the runway, which induces the aircraft to roll, but it doesn't happen straight away. There's a little bit of delay in that, so you've got to kick the aircraft straight, you've got to flare the aircraft by pulling back, and you've then got to use aileron to counter that roll, and you have to be a little bit proactive with that. You've got to kind of time it right to get that aileron in to keep the wings level, and that's often where things become a bit unstable. If the captain's trying to take control at the same time because he sees that this is being slightly mishandled, then this is really adding to it all. And if that's when the wing tip scraped the ground, then I would quite agree. It's really difficult. Often people start their flying careers in a regional airline. That's how they gain their experience. And we've all said it before, but you start your airline career with a big bucket of luck and an empty bucket of experience, and you're hoping you can fill the experience bucket before you empty the luck bucket. And in a lot of cases, we all go, well, thank the Lord for that, because I got away with various issues. Unfortunately, this one wasn't like that. But the margin between a wingtip strike and getting a clean climb away in a go-around is quite small. So, I feel sorry for the crew involved, actually, because this should really be put down as just a situation that is sometimes very difficult to avoid.
A racing incident.
Yes,
so
good.
To use a analogy with Formula One racing. But the thing that's very, very difficult, and I think you kind of alluded to that, is that the captain, who has much more experience because of the fact that the captain, is in that command position. It's tough when you're flying with somebody who is new and doesn't have a lot of experience. You don't want to take over or prevent them from having this experience. However, you have to be very careful because things can get out of hand, as they did, and it seems that they got out of hand in this situation where it got a little bit unstabilized toward the end, and he had to take over control. So it's a fine line, I'd say, being in the position as commander of the flight and commander of the crew. But the thing that's concerning me, Captain Nick, is that, again, this airline, also the airline that had an unstabilized approach at Toronto and just slammed it into the runway, which had much worse consequences, the wing falling off and everything, major crash. And I'm wondering if the safety folks at Endeavor Airlines are scrambling to come up with a solution to why two of their flights now, in the news have exhibited some questionable handling toward the end of the landing sequence. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree, but it is very difficult, and airlines sometimes go through these phases, and inside the airline, you can't really put your finger on it and go, oh, we cut the experience required for this by 100 hours, so that we'll just put that back and fix that problem, because nobody tries to generate a situation where this can occur, and everyone is doing their best to make sure that people learn, even if they're learning on the job, like most pilots do in this kind of situation, that they're learning and they're getting the right training. A lot of it's down to sometimes the personnel. Are the people doing the training, are they in themselves experienced enough, or has the suck of experience from the regional airlines by the big airlines who have been looking for lots and lots of pilots, have they sucked all the experience out of the regionals so that now we've got, I won't say the blind leading the blind, but you know where I'm going here. We've got perhaps less experienced pilots training even less experienced pilots.
Yep.
I don't know the situation well enough to be able to put my finger on that and say that might be the cause, but that's kind of where I'm going.
I agree. Well, hopefully we won't see too many more of these types of, or any more of these types of situations.
But they happen in threes, you know, so we've got one more to come.
Liz just made a really cute comment. We're going to endeavor to determine I forgot exactly what you said, Liz. We're going to endeavor to not see any more of these. Yes. Next item here is a prelim on the incident that occurred that we covered a couple of shows ago, I think. Regarding the near miss at Midway Airport in Chicago. And I don't know, Nick, did you have a chance to read through this prelim?
Well, I did. It's quite an involved document, and I was trying to work out what we hadn't covered before, because other than really pinning down the aircraft positions, all I think was new were the statements from the pilots involved. And quite importantly, we all wanted to know what was happening on the smaller of the two aircraft, and what their crew were, or why they made the mistake. Because obviously the Southwest crew just did a damn good job. You know, they're golden.
Especially the first officer, because the captain apparently was pilot flying, and the first officer noticed that this flex jet, business jet, didn't appear to be stopping and holding short of their runway, and so he commanded or called out, "Go around," and the captain executed the go around. So it was great crew coordination and safe operations with the Southwest flight.
Immediately give him, demote the captain, give that bloke another stripe and the pay.
Well, I don't really think that that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
I'm thinking that first officer, pilot monitoring, did a damn good job.
He did.
Assessing the situation and doing what he was supposed to do. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. But you know what it's like when the first officer does something good, the captain gets the praise. When the captain does something good, the captain gets the praise.
Exactly. That's the way it's supposed to be, right?
Of course.
I did notice, you know, we kind of were thinking that this may have happened, you know, when we were analyzing this to begin with. And I'm glad to see that during the interviews of the crew of the FlexJet flight, that kind of confirmed what we were kind of suspecting as far as them crossing that one runway thinking it was a taxiway, because it was basically sized like a taxiway, and they didn't even notice that they were. And I think it even said, well, we didn't see any signs or hold short markings, but in the report it has some photographs of the hold short bars and the signs on both sides of the taxiway indicating that the runway that they crossed shouldn't have been. That was the one they were supposed to hold short of. Anyway, so...
they come up with, I mean, they've been very open about it, and I applaud them for that, because this is how we learn. They said that as they turned on to the runway that they were going to use to get across the airport for left 22 right, the sun was impeding their visibility from the right side of the aircraft, which was the side that the Southwest was attacking them on. And they did not recall seeing any hold short line or pavement markings or any other signs for the 3-1 left intersection. Now, that's the narrow taxiway that is very similar in size and very close to the taxiway they had just left to another taxiway. So we both last week said, well, I can see how they might mistake that. In fact, you made the point, I think, Jeff, you might mistake that as a taxiway and not realize that they've crossed the first of the runways they need to get across that they've been given clearance for. And that they had not recognized it as a runway. The captain stated as he approached runway 31 center, the one he'd been told to hold short of, he had thought it was runway 31 left. Well, yeah, okay, but there were pretty clear signs. And this is kind of where the meticulous attitude of an airline pilot has to come to the fore, because you can never kind of assume. You've always got to double check, and you both have to double check. You just go, this is 3-1 left, we've been cleared to pass. Okay, yeah, I see the sign, it's 3-1, except it wasn't. It was 3-1 center, and they needed to stop. Had they both been absolutely pedantic about identifying the runway they were about to go over, then they would have spotted their error. And that's the only way you pick up these errors. I know it's a really boring thing sometimes, being so pedantic, but it's the way you stop yourself from getting in these dreadful situations.
I suspect that things were quite busy in that cockpit, and they were probably going over takeoff data and other, types of things going on, and they weren't paying as close attention, especially the pilot monitoring wasn't paying as close attention. And it's tough on ground operations, especially when you're starting a flight. A lot of things happening, and basically the captain normally is the one that's doing the taxiing, the steering on the ground. And that's what he or she is focused on mostly. And the first officer is awfully busy running checklists and communicating with the cabin and a lot of different things. But it's very important, as you just said, to be very disciplined when it comes to making sure that you're holding short of the correct runways and that sort of thing. And the thing that really is kind of sad about this thing is that the cockpit voice recorders in both airplanes were overwritten. So they don't have any evidence at all of what was happening in these cockpits prior to this incident. And that's a shame.
Yeah, it is. They are going to start, I think, improving the quality of voice recorders. I think they'll insist they're on more aircraft types, categories, and they're going to be 25-hour recorders, which I think is very, very sensible. Because all we can do with that is make the airline industry safer. I see no downside to that.
I don't either. D, K, and L. Okay. Getting some communication from our producer.
You were like one of those Muppets at the operating theater, Dr. Bob.
Yeah. Well, Liz was just communicating directly with me and not you. So you're probably thinking, okay, is Jeff having a stroke right now? Because I don't hear any communications in the background, and he's just staring off into space.
Yep.
He goes, I know this day was going to come, and it appears that it's now.
There you go.
So might as well, since this is all going to be cut out of the audio, Liz, D, K, and L, did you say? Okay. Oh, okay. Well, let's continue. The one we just discussed, the prelim, involved a Southwest Airlines flight, and they did the right thing by noticing the runway incursion and performing a go around, and everybody was, lived happily ever after. Now let's transport ourselves down to Orlando, Florida on March 20th, 2025, when a Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-800 registration November 8315 Charlie performing flight 3278 from Orlando to Albany, New York was cleared for takeoff from Orlando's runway 17 right at 9:30 in the morning, so it's daylight. I think the weather was pretty nice. Was cleared for takeoff, but aligned with the parallel taxiway hotel and began their takeoff roll. Oops. Tower canceled their takeoff clearance. The crew rejected takeoff and returned to the apron with their tails between their legs.
Can you fit a Southwest tail between your legs? I don't know.
So, and I believe, or do we have the diagram there? I think, at least from what I recall when I was actively flying, the terminal on the northeastern, let's see, is that airside 2, I think? I believe is the mostly the Southwest Airlines terminal right there. And then you can see just to the east of that terminal is like, thank you for your pointer there, Liz. If you go just a little bit to the right there, that's the runway they were supposed to use.
Wow, what a long taxi they've got.
Yeah, so it's very, very quick. Things are happening. Again, we have a lot of things happening very quickly in this cockpit.
Yeah.
Likely the first officer is not really paying close attention to what the captain's doing. And the captain was supposed to cross, there were two parallel taxiways, an inner and outer. And they crossed the inner, but they had one more to cross before they actually made it to the runway. But instead they turned right, turned south onto Taxiway Hotel, which is the outer taxiway there for that runway, and they ended up starting.
And I'm going to ask the question that those inner taxiways, the ones that are very adjacent to the aprons, often they're actually the same material as the apron. They're just lines on the ground. I don't know if that's the case here.
No, this case there, that's actually a real
There's
taxiway.
Actually a medium of grass or something in between them.
Well, yes, between those two taxiways, yes.
No, between the first taxiway and the apron.
I believe so. Yeah,
okay.
It's pretty clear from my experience. I have a lot of experience flying in and out of Orlando.
Fair enough. Okay, I've just been to airports. I know
Dubai,
what you're talking about. Where the apron and the taxiway are all, completely joined up, and it's just lines on the ground that show you where the taxiway is. But
like San Diego's one that comes to mind is like, they just use painted lines to delineate the taxiway from the ramp, and that's very confusing. But in this case, it's a separate taxiway.
Okay, that's fair enough then.
Yeah.
No excuse then.
No, there really
I was going to give the guy a bit of a break. You shot me down in flames.
Nah, hang them.
Well,
anyway.
Particularly since Southwest were probably taxiing at 40 knots. So,
well, they're really, I don't even know if they had enough room to get up to 40 knots. That was very, very tight or short taxi.
Probably not.
A shorter taxi than it should have been. Luckily, there were no airplanes at the time on Taxiway Hotel, or if there were, they were way down the way. And thankfully, the tower controller was paying close attention and said, "Oh, wait, what is this guy doing? Oh, no, cancel takeoff clearance. Like, you're not on the runway, dude." Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
That's really unfortunate. And I do feel sorry, but it's another case of, you can cover these in your pre-flight briefing. In fact, these are the important things to pick out. We're going to cross a really narrow runway before we get to the main runway. Let's not confuse that with a taxiway. We've got a very short taxi this morning. Let's get everything out the way that we possibly can and go slow so that we give ourselves enough time to see what's going on outside as well as do all our checks. Those are the kind of things I think are very important in your assessment and your briefing, pre-flight briefings.
Agreed. A good briefing would have done well. But again, there are probably assumptions made. We fly in and out of Orlando all the time, so everybody knows this, so I don't really have to mention it. But sometimes, as you say, Captain Nick, even if it's something that's routine and you do day in and day out, you still need to brief it just to kind of remind everybody, where the vigilance needs to be.
Yeah, just those really tricky ones.
Yeah. This next one from Paddle Your Own Canoe. Wait a minute. There we go. Let's see. This is kind of a little concerning to me. An airline captain was fined for failing to maintain contact with air traffic control, resulting in fighter jets being scrambled to intercept the plane. This is from, I just said Paddle Your Canoe. Captain Christopher Hollins has just been awarded the very dubious honor of being the first person ever to be prosecuted under a British law that requires commercial airline pilots to establish and maintain two-way communication with air traffic control. The shamed pilot has landed himself with a criminal conviction and a fine of £4,511. That's very specific. It's about $5,800 after pleading guilty to failing to maintain continuous radio communication with air traffic control during a flight from Oslo to Manchester. This is Scandinavian Air Service Connect. So there's some kind of a connection between SAS and the
Scandinavian Air
British
Service
Airways. Yes, Scandinavian. What did I say? Did I say that wrong?
No, you're right.
Oh, okay. Sometimes SAS, the initials get a little confusing, Nick. And
yeah.
Or maybe it is Scandinavian Air Systems. Anyway, so the flight was being operated by SAS Connect, a British subsidiary of the Scandinavian airline, and as a routine scheduled flight from Norway to England with Captain Holland at the controls of the aircraft. Well, I don't know. How did they know that he was at the controls of the aircraft? Did they mean that he was the commander of the aircraft, perhaps? I don't know. During the flight, prosecutors accused Captain, well, I don't think it was during the flight that they accused him. I think after the flight they accused him of failing to maintain contact. Yeah, they were, to maintain contact with air traffic controllers for up to 30 minutes. So they scrambled some RAF Typhoon fighter jets. And I don't know if I put that in the keynote. Did I, Liz, the item in the Evernote of the article? Oh, shoot, I forgot to do that. So it turns out that a local newspaper, Cheshire, I guess, Cheshire Times, is that right? Cheshire Live. Decided to report this story of this intercept of the airliner, the SAS airliner, an Airbus 320 or 321. And I don't know if you can see this picture, Nick, in the show notes. But if you don't mind, I'd love you to look at it.
Oh yeah, indeed, I can identify that.
Oh yeah, I see that you've made a comment. Yeah. So what kind of airplane? So is that a Eurofighter Typhoon that we're seeing?
Absolutely, yes. That's the Russian Eurofighter Typhoon.
The Russian Eurofighter Typhoon.
That we call an Su-27 Flanker Wanker. So
yeah,
that's the NATO reporting name, Flanker Wanker. So that's a Russian. That's a Russian fighter jet, not a Typhoon.
I know. I just thought I'd
not
mention.
In the Royal Air Force. And he's got his damned air brakes out. Look at the size of that air brake. They must love stopping, mustn't they?
And I think that you'll recognize, and we'll have this photo in the show notes for everybody to look at, the very distinctive wing fence of that Airbus that we see in the foreground of this photograph.
Yeah,
wait a minute.
Funny enough, I've seen a very similar one on a Typhoon.
Have you? Oh,
yeah.
Well, they're very similar. They're made by the same country, right? Sort of.
Kind of, yeah. They're they're kind of European-y thing.
Yeah, European-y. Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was pretty hilarious to see.
Well, that is absolutely awful. So, journalists, for heaven's sake, get a grip.
Come on. Yeah. So anyway, the bottom line of this is that this is the first time, that we've always had these rules. You have to maintain continuous radio contact. And this is the first time, I think, ever I've heard of anybody actually being prosecuted or fined. And I think they even say in the article that if deemed serious enough, convicted pilots could face a potential maximum sentence of 2 years imprisonment for not
Don't
maintaining.
worry, our prisons are so full, they're never going to do that. I mean, there's just no.
They're very
room.
posh, I think, as well.
Yeah,
So
they
it's
might put
nice
a
experience.
ankle tracker on you for a couple of
Yeah,
years, and make you go and sweep up the streets for a couple of years.
And the ankle bracelet, by the way, also it's studded with diamonds. I think it's very
Well, the nice ones are if you're a pop star or a influencer off TikTok, then you get the diamond studded ones. But no, I'm with you, Jeff. What the hell were the CIA thinking? I mean, we have talked over and over again about the importance of a just culture in airline flying, so that we can freely admit our mistakes, learn from them, and move on, and be safer, be much safer. If we feel that there is a possible court case and fine that might be quite severe, then you're just going to create the environment where people try and hide their errors in the fear that they will be taken to court. Now, just culture does not excuse gross negligence. Now, that would be the only circumstance, or a deliberate act. Those would be the only circumstances where I think the CAA would be justified. But I don't know enough about this case to say that that was the situation. I have myself done exactly this. Going into a control area, your radar identified, position reports not required, and then you move out of the radio range of that controller, so you don't get a handover to the next controller, and you sit there. We were fat, dumb, and happy, talking about actually an issue we'd had on the ground. So we had all the books out, and we're trying to analyze what had happened. And all of a sudden, I was supposed to be on the radio. The other guy, that my lovely first officer, said, "We haven't spoken to anyone for a while." And I went, "Oh, bloody hell, we haven't. No, damn it." And I started calling, and of course we were out of range, so we couldn't get the controller we had been speaking to, and it took us an age to find a frequency. And, we had turned down the guard frequency, 1215, because in that area of China, they have very little control over who transmits on radio frequencies, and it was just continually producing that pager or kind of intercept garbled noise you get from telephones and things. So we turned the volumes down because we couldn't hear ourselves think. Right. And we didn't pick up the calls that were coming out on guard to get in touch with us. So I know exactly the way where this guy has come from, and perhaps I can understand how he was out of contact for 30 minutes. But on the other hand, it was a relatively short flight. Norway to England, so a hop, skip, and a jump. 30 minutes is actually a big portion of that flight.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to do a 12-hour flight, so 30 minutes was a drop in the ocean for that.
Well, in your incident, at least it wasn't picked up at the newspapers, so that's the good.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was, but that's another story. That's the story that will come out in a plain tale one day.
Yes, I can't wait. Okay, and I have plenty of my own stories that you can make plain tales about.
Absolutely.
But the statute of limitations is important. We're going to finish with this next one, and I mentioned earlier that sometimes the acronym or letters SAS can be a little confusing. So, Captain Nick, this is kind of tied to that first news item that we had regarding the power outage at Heathrow. Perhaps you can tell us about what happened
I like
here.
this one. This is paddle your own canoe, or if it's been raining a lot, paddle your own 4x4 as you sink into the river. Scandinavian airline trolls British media after they confuse it with a world-famous elite military unit during Heathrow power outage. So SAS, the Scandinavian Airlines Service, is that right? System. Scandinavian Airlines
Airline
System. Has found the humorous side of all the chaos from the major fire we talked about earlier. After a British media outlet, oh look, it's Sky News. After Sky News somehow confused the Stockholm-based carrier with a world-famous elite military unit. I can't see how they did this. How do you get SAS confused with SAS? I mean, I just don't see how you do that.
The Special Air Service obviously operates many round trips. 12 of their round trip flights from Heathrow were canceled because of that power outage.
Well, yeah.
So I didn't know that the Special Air Service actually published their schedule of round trip flights.
Well, they don't normally. I mean, they don't usually give advance warning of when they're storming an embassy or something. But Sky, whilst talking about Scandinavian Airlines System, put up a picture of the Special Air Service badge, their CAT badge, which is a winged dagger with the motto, "Who dares wins." And, well, she's been up since 5 a.m., so I'd be looking the same, I think. But whoever was in charge of putting up the visuals for that obviously just Googled SAS and got that badge and thought, oh, well, that'll do. I mean, how ridiculous.
Yeah.
Dear.
Major fail.
But I love it. Because the SAS got the joke in the end, because they went on to X and said, we get it, Sky News and The Guardian. That's
they did
the
it too.
newspaper, so they obviously made the same mistake. Same initials, both wear uniforms, operate internationally, and move fast. But only one SAS was affected by the Heathrow power outage. Spoiler, it was the one with the free coffee on board and not the one with the parachutes. So, very good. Well done, SAS.
Yeah.
Well, yes, you do worry about the standard of journalism, don't you? I mean...
Oh, yes. We have been for quite some time.
Oh, no.
That was a great way to end our news segment. And now it's time to get to know us. Get to know Captain Nick and I, and maybe even get to know a little bit of
Don't they
from
know us already?
our producer, Liz.
Can't we skip this bit?
What's that? Can we skip this part?
Don't they know us already? Okay.
Yeah. Well, they need to know us more. Better.
Oh, no more of
better.
us. Okay.
More better.
More better.
Okay. Captain Nick, have you been doing some lectures and talks and
indeed.
sort of thing? Or?
Yeah, I had some fun. I went across to the school that I have been to before. This is St. Benedict's Junior School, because Rob, the headmaster, is one of our lovely listeners, and he runs for his youngsters at this junior school an aviation club. So they do it in their own time after school has finished. And he asked me to come over and give him a talk, which I was more than happy to do. And it was an absolute delight to chat to the youngsters again. And from the show of hands, at least half of them want to be pilots. So there's nothing wrong with a wannabe pilot. And I was trying to teach them the best way to get into aviation. And we'll see, I hope one day, if I live long enough, we'll hear about them. Now, that picture that's just come up now is pure ego trip. I was digging out pictures of myself to use with this lecture, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. I've got quite a little flow here from start to finish. So I stuck them together.
You have quite a little what?
A picture flow. Yeah, there's a flow from like a graph, an evolution, if you'd like, from the young lad that was 13 years old and an air cadet up to the knackered old airline pilot that had a damaged back and was retiring early at the age of 64 and 11 and a half months, whatever. So, so that was just a bit of fun. But what was really nice, apart from all that good fun, was a lovely email I got from Mal Redrup. Now, I met Mal because I had been giving a talk at Brooklands, and perhaps his email explains. Dear APG crew, thanks for your superb podcast. Well, it's all Captain Jeff's job.
No, it's not.
Always interesting, informative, and very much appreciated. I spoke to Captain Nick at Brooklands on March the 19th. His third visit to our historic venue opened in 1907, and he gave an excellent lecture as always. How very kind of you. Since his first visit talking about intercepting Russian bears in a Phantom, I've not missed an episode of APG. Oh, brilliant. Thanks very much, Mal. That's brilliant. Fair winds to all the APG crew, and special thanks to Captain Nick. Great to have met and spoken to you. I hope our committee will persuade you to return to Brooklands and speak about your commercial career with Virgin Atlantic. Yeah, I kind of balked at the idea because I didn't think it would be really very exciting to do that. Talk about boring airline flying. But since I've started on my airline pilot logbook tales, I've discovered that there were a few funny things that I can in fact talk about, so I might well try and put some of those into a talk in a year or two to Brooklands, because they have quite a few ex-Virgin Atlantic employees that attend the Royal Aeronautical Society there, so that would be good fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you discount too much the interest in your airline career of 25 years. Is that right? 25 years?
48, I decided. 48
No,
years.
for the airline.
Oh, yeah, airline. Yes, 25 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Wait, but before you go to the cover art, let me just say that I just want to, again, tell you how much I love Rob and the kids at St. Benedict's. I mean, I love you guys.
We love you, Captain Jeff.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, there we go. That was on cue, wasn't it? I'm impressed.
Yeah, so cover art now would be appropriate, I think.
Absolutely. Right. Well, we had a fantastic story about obviously the Toronto incident, an airplane careering across the airport on its back, flaming fireballs, etc., and a man who tried to smuggle a turtle in his underpants. That wasn't at Toronto, but I kind of tried to merge the two here. It turned out that the red-eared slider was the breed of turtle. And I went, wow, how cool is that? So here we have a red-eared turtle sliding on its back across an airport. And I was given a plea by, I think it was Tim, who said, can you please put some... Oh, no, it wasn't. It was AJ, who said, please put some Levi's into the picture somehow. Because of the, I think the smuggler, the turtle smuggler, had stuffed it down his Levi's. So we've got a title there of the newspaper, Red-Eared Slider Turns Turtle, and a little subtitle, Turtle Crashes at Toronto, Levi's 655 windsock blames, and there's a set of Levi's that are acting as a windsock there. So that was all a bit of fun.
Good use for Levi's, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The show number was in the subtitle, and if you look carefully at the newspaper logo there, you can see Acme written across the middle with a pair of wings. That's the Acme logo there in the middle. That was a hard one to find, apparently, for some people.
Yeah, it's a... Here we go. All right.
Jeff, you.
I guess sticking with the AI art that Captain, that's one of the tools that Captain Nick uses to come up with, produce, create our episode artwork. And then he, of course, makes his own adjustments. So it's not just a easy put in a bunch of phrases and what's the term that they use for like when you're doing these art creations from AI?
I don't actually know. I suppose they're prompts or
prompts.
something.
That's
You
the
just
word
do
I was
it.
looking for.
You do a textual description.
Yeah. Well, he did prompted me. Everybody's prompting me to talk about this email that we received from Sean McHale, one of our APG community members. He says, Jeff, I'm not sure that you've been, what you've been using for AI images. Midjourney is what Captain Nick uses. But I've been using Midjourney for a while. Okay, he as well. Sora, S-O-R-A, just really stepped up their game this week and is allowing unlimited generation. For funsies, I took the profile pics off of your website and had Sora go to town with it, and it did. If you ever need any images for the show, let me know. I'm more than happy to crank them out. Okay, so anyway, let's look at this artwork and it's in the show notes for you. You really need to look at this. This is amazing.
It's fantastic.
The setting, we don't know what his prompts were to come up with this photo, but it's so good. It looks like a photo. But trust me, we weren't all sitting at a poker table drinking whiskey and beer and smoking cigarettes, and Camacho's smoking 2 cigarettes at the same time in the cockpit. Yeah, so you see the cockpit instrument panel in the background. Lots of smoke in there. There's even a disco ball hanging over the top of the table. And it's just, when I saw this from Sean, I don't remember exactly where I was. I think I was in a restaurant. I just started laughing out loud, and people are looking at me like, what's this guy laughing about? I thought that was just amazing. So thank you, Sean, for
It is. The detail is fantastic, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the AI has got everything right. We've all got the right number of fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're all the right rank. You actually look like we're wearing airline pilot gear. Even Miami Rick with his leather flying jacket's looking cool. Steph, I think, is probably one of the best ones with her headset on. But I love the tash. In fact, even the hair on your figure there, Jeff, looks fantastic. Very realistic.
Yeah, everybody's smoking there. Although I don't see, I think that's, well, you know why Steph's not smoking in this pic? Because Camacho stole it from her, or took it from her or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. So very, very funny. Just from those profile pics that we have on our website for the bios of the crew. That's pretty clever.
It's very good indeed.
Yeah, this might be a cover art possibility. I'm not sure.
That would
exactly
save
what
me the
title
bother.
is.
Yeah. We just need to think of a name, but
Liz wanted me to mention, now many of you know, not everybody yet, but soon they will know, that I've kind of gone from full-time RV life to part-time RV life, and I've established myself again at the APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia, the same apartment complex I was living in before my full-time RV ventures. And so I asked the community for some help with some mooch docking, meaning places to stay, park in your driveway, that kind of thing, when I was out there traveling the United States and Canada. So that's what we call mooch docking. So I can, park there and spend the night and maybe even plug in electricity and get some water from your water hose. So we have this wonderful response from the community all over the country, and including Canada, that offered their place to park the RVS. And I want you to know that we still have this database, and I still intend to use that in the future when I make my periodic voyages in the RVS. So we're not completely disregarding the offers from the community for Jeff's mooch docking, but I want to thank you for volunteering that to me and APG, and still intend to take advantage of that in the future. So I just wanted to let you know. Yeah, it might take a little longer to make it your way wherever you are, but I do certainly intend to take advantage of your kind offers. So thank you very much for that. Just wanted to let you know if that was something that you didn't have to worry about anymore. Oh, good. I don't have to worry about Jeff showing up in that stupid RVS, getting complaints from the neighbors and all that. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Well, you do. You still have to worry about that. Okay. Well, I've been just doing the normal singing stuff and what? Singing and editing, yeah. And I mentioned last show that I had my driver's side mirror clipped by another church bus. Well, not another. I'm not a church bus, but a church bus clipped my driver's side mirror, and that was taken care of earlier in the week. On Monday, I went to the local Mercedes-Benz dealership and had them replace the appropriate parts that were broken, and it's all fixed. So good as new. And that's, oh, I had dinner with my daughter, yes, at a sushi place that our family used to go to many times in the past. So that brought back a lot of great memories, and got to catch up with Natalie. And there was something else I was going to mention too. Oh, I have a real mattress now, mattress and box spring from Avocado Green, one of those mattresses in a box. So the box spring did come. Oh yeah, Liz didn't even know that. Yeah, the box spring came in a box. I was expecting like a big giant box spring, but all put together. But it was in a smaller box. I'm thinking, how did they get a box spring in there? So I opened it up, and of course it's all in pieces. But luckily, it was very easy to put it together. No tools required. So I'm now even farther off the floor. The whole thing is on the floor, but soon, maybe, well, not soon, maybe by the end of May, early June, I'll have my actual bed, wooden bed frame. I am going to get some furniture on Tuesday, although I don't know, I'm a little suspicious, Liz. Tuesday is April 1st, and a lot of people do April Fool's Day on April 1st, and I'm thinking, do you think that Ethan Allen Furniture Company is doing an April Fool's joke on me, and they're not going to actually deliver anything, or the stuff they will deliver will be just like really horrible? I don't know. Are the wrong things? Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I'm expecting a sofa, area rug, a couple of bar stools, and a media center for it. So it's going to be, my living area will be kind of furnished a lot more than it is right now. Yeah. Oh yeah, I should do that. Maybe I'll do that for our patrons. I'll do a video of that. And then, so the media center is a perfect place for me to put my big screen TV, but I don't actually have a big screen TV, so I'm going to have to go to Costco or Amazon or something and get one of those big. I might just go for one of those really, really big ones. Yeah.
Can you get a 90-inch OLED?
Oh, well, I think they do have, and I saw it at Costco the last time I was there, and I went, wow, that's way too big.
No, it's never too big. You see,
well, I think it's too big for the media center thing that it's going to sit on top of. I think that, well,
just so long as the stand sits on top of it, it can overlap the edges.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I'll let you know. I'll keep everybody advised. Anyway, that's it. Yeah. Oh, Liz, no. Liz, we need to talk to you. You were not supposed to be here today, and I am.
Yeah, what's
in a way, I feel bad that you weren't able to take your trip to Montreal. But
isn't it called Montreal?
Montreal.
No, Montreal here. Anyway.
Montreal. And,
And
I was like, oh man, we're going to have to do the show without Liz. It's going to be a train wreck.
It was a train wreck anyway,
well,
but that's
it still
okay.
was a train wreck, but not as bad as it could have been. And so I'm so happy that you didn't make it.
Oh,
but,
thanks. That's nice.
So why did you cancel your trip to Montreal?
Yeah, I was going to Montreal for a family thing. My nephew is turning 45. I can't believe that. It means I'm really old now. Anyway, and so a bunch of the family and some friends were getting together there for his birthday celebration. And so I was going down on the train and coming back on the plane, and I'm looking forward to sort of a change of scenery and stuff. And then it started on Wednesday, I started to see these warnings and stuff. But when I got up Thursday morning, which was the morning I was supposed to leave, there was this very dire forecast of a freezing rain storm, an ice storm, coming to southern Ontario, and I think it is actually going to hit Montreal too. But anyway, and basically they were saying, don't travel. Like, it's going to be a very bad situation. And I've been through a couple of ice storms, and it's not a fun thing. Anyway, so I just decided it was probably wise that I didn't go. So I canceled everything, was able to successfully cancel everything. So here I am. So I'm happy to be with you guys.
Yeah, so the ice storm is not going to materialize.
Well, it's interesting. You may have heard it. I just got a freeze. We've been under sort of a lower warning, but I just got a freezing rain warning for right here. Suppose it hasn't started yet. I can see it. I mean, it's been raining, but this afternoon and tonight we're supposed to get a lot of freezing rain. So anyway.
Well, I think it's good that you didn't travel. Yeah, that would have been kind of a mess.
Stay safe.
Yeah, that was my feeling. I'm trying not to second guess myself and just sort of say, it is what it is, and I'll see the family at some other time. So whatever.
Yeah, I know that's disappointing for you. Not only missing seeing the family, but the opportunity to not have to deal with us.
Well, that's true. And then I was going to, as you guys both know, I was flying back on a 737 MAX. And that's honestly really, I'm telling you,
roll those dice.
That's really the reason I canceled.
I understand.
Anyway,
at least a 50% chance you would have made it.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, thanks, you guys. Here I am. So let's get on with this thing.
Let's get on with it then. Okay. In that case, I think that we can cover some feedback and then go to the plain tale. Is that the way we want to do this? Oh, yeah, let's do the coffee fund first instead. Good idea. All right. The coffee fund.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
Yeah. I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. The cup. Oh, yeah. Coffee Fund. It's your way, dear listener, to support us financially if you have the resources to do so. A couple of different ways to do that. One is the Coffee Fund Classic Method. And since the last episode, we have two very generous contributions, like one-off contributions, not recurring, from Kevin Dryden up in Comox, BC, and Stephen Simpson. I'm not sure where Stephen is from. He's in the UK. Oh, okay. So we have an international coffee fund contribution segment here. So thank you both for contributing to the Coffee Bar Club. And the other way to do it is to become a patron of the show via patreon.com. And you can pledge a certain amount per episode, and you can stipulate a monthly maximum so that we don't go all crazy and do like a show every day. Of course, that would never happen. But anyway, it makes some people feel better about
you're trying to
restricting.
Kill us.
Yeah. Anyway, so those options there for the Coffee Bar Club, please check them out. And you can learn more about it by going to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. You'll be glad you did. And we will too.
Especially me.
Yeah, we're all happy. You notice I'm referring to it now as the Coffee Bar Club. I've stopped the Coffee Fund. What do I call that? Cadre, because I guess a lot of people don't understand what that word means. So anyway, Coffee bar club, though, I like because I like coffee bar drinks, lattes and cappuccinos.
I like
and
bar drinks.
Yeah. Well, I really like those kind of bar drinks as well. Whiskey and rye and gin and tonic and gin and all that. Okay. Okay. Sure, that sounds good to me. If you're good with that, Captain Nick, old pilot man.
Oh, certainly, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
oh, look. That was a floating thumb right next to my left ear. Let me try that again. No, now it won't work. Of course not. There we go.
Jeff's messing with reactions. He's a worry.
I am a worry. Well, I worry a lot of people that care about me. Okay. All right, now let's go to what I enjoy most about doing this show, and I have the honor of hosting the Old Pilot's Plane Tales on. Oh no! Let's stop for a moment. Oh, okay. So Liz is getting the script so that she can do the slides for the plane tale. No problem. But don't worry about it. We're all friends here, Liz. Oh yeah. No, you're not fired.
Yeah,
think
but you might
do this
get your
without
pay docked.
Yeah. I'm going to have to cut your pay, I think. I'm sorry.
Yeah, till your performance improves.
Let's see. Did I put that there? Yeah, I did. Don't, relax. Okay. So as I said, very honored that Captain Nick, the Old Pilot, allows us to host these wonderful creations called the Plane Tale. So this week's episode is entitled RAF Form 414, Volume 33, I think.
Yep.
Okay, let's do it.
The Old Pilot's Plane Tales, RAF Form 414, Volume 33. I'm sorry, dear listener, but the logbook stories continue unabated with our next installment. I'd been inducted into Virgin Atlantic Airways Limited, and after completing the type rating technical exam, we were dispatched to the heart of Airbussery, Toulouse in France, to undergo their simulator training course. There were about 10 of us, but other than our sim partner, we didn't have a lot of time to get to know each other with our busy month-long schedule. I'd been paired up with a 340 pilot from the Northern Isles of Scotland and was all set to pick his brains on the subject until I discovered he'd been flying the Saab 340, a little Swedish twin-engine turboprop. Despite this, we got on very well, studying together and enjoying what little spare time we had. The very first A340 had only been delivered to Lufthansa a year before, and the Dash 300 variant which we were receiving had already started arriving at London Gatwick, our headquarters. When the 340 design started off in the early 80s, it was known as TA-11, Twin Aisle 11, whereas the two-engine version, which would become the A330, was TA-9. It was planned that the two aircraft would enter the market as replacements for the aging 747s around the world. The American market were looking for twins, whereas the Asian market preferred four engines. European wishes were mixed between the two. Many twin-engine airliners were still going through the very stringent ETOPS Extended Twin Engine Operations Performance Standards approval process, so there was a reluctance by carriers with long overwater routes to commit to large twin-engine airliners for those routes, so the A340 was competing with the 747, the TriStar and the DC-10. but it had abilities that surpassed all those types. Following the success of the A320, the A340 was fully fly-by-wire, was equipped with the very latest CFM56 engines, and had a prodigious range. As part of the demonstration of the new route possibilities, Airbus flew from the 1993 Paris Air Show a never-seen-before flight to Auckland, New Zealand, without refuelling. A direct flight, it covered a stunning distance of 10,409 nautical miles. This flight was the longest non-stop journey ever made by a commercial airliner. After its entry into Lufthansa, the 340 started operations with Air France, Cathay Pacific, Iberia, Singapore, Swiss, and of course Virgin. In total, 37 different companies purchased the aircraft, not including various governments and private owners. When our happy band of brothers arrived at Toulouse, not everyone there was totally familiar with the differences between earlier aircraft, such as the A320, and this new machine. This became obvious when our very Gallic instructor spent a couple of hours demonstrating and having us practice the go-around procedure. It seemed rather complicated, but eventually we got the myriad of actions down pat. When we started the next session, it appeared that we'd been taught a procedure that didn't apply to the 340, which had a much improved logic, and we then had to unlearn what we'd just committed to memory and replace it with the much simpler and correct actions needed for our aircraft. This was explained away with much shrugging, waving of hands, raising of eyebrows, and muttered "boff." For the rest of our sessions, whenever we turned to question something, we were met with our French instructor's classic puckered lips and bored squinting look called "faire l'amour," along with a muttered "c'est la vie." We worked for 6 days solid and then had a day off, except for those weeks when we didn't, but we took it all in good humour. After all, it was exciting. We were learning to fly the most advanced and the longest airliner in the world, until the A340-600 came along. With barely a word of French between us, my Scottish buddy and I struggled a bit, since we met the usual reluctance of the local populace to admit knowing any English. I never managed to work out how to get a coffee bigger than their tiny espressos, and generally lived on croissants or what I could point at. There was one memorable day, however, when we had an entire day off, and without much prep for the next sim to do, we climbed into our tiny rented Renault with a gear stick that sprouted from the dashboard, wound up the massive 1-litre, 58 cubic inch motor, and headed for the hills. We were determined to see something of the countryside, and soon we'd left the city behind and were motoring along the plain, tree-lined country roads, sometimes cobbled, occasionally gravel, passing through tiny villages. We stopped to have coffees at quiet cafes, and then in the middle of a valley we spotted the stony mound of a medieval town rising from the valley floor. Cord dated back to 1222 and was one of the oldest fortified towns in the area. Parking on the outskirts, since even our little car wouldn't fit into the narrow winding roads, we clambered through stone-paved and cobbled streets and stairways, past tiny houses and shops often built right into the rock, until we ended up by the church at the town square. It was like we'd walked onto a movie stage where the actors were taking a break before the Three Musketeers again rushed into battle. A small restaurant served us a generous lunch of moule marinière, mussels steamed in white wine with warm crusty bread, while we sipped more wine. Afterwards we visited the fortified city of Carcassonne, a settlement that goes as far back as 3500 BC. I remembered the legend that gave the city its name. Lady Carcass ruled the city during a siege between the Christians inside and the Muslims outside. After 6 years and close to starvation, the city assembled what remained of their food, a pig and a sack of grain. Feeding the grain to the pig, Lady Carcass ordered it catapulted from the battlements. When Charlemagne saw the dead pig full of grain, he believed that the siege was bound to fail, since they obviously had food to waste, and he ordered a retreat. Lady Carcass rang the bells of the city in triumph. One of Charlemagne's men exclaimed, "Carcassonne! Carcass rings." When I heard the story, I assumed the pig had landed on the head of a soldier, who then stumbled around with a carcass on. Back to work, we faced the arrival of a cadre of our airline senior trainers to gauge our progress. First, we had to pass an instrument rating, followed by 3 hours of skills tests that formed part of the 1179 type rating. With their arrival, we discovered that all our work to date had been conducted using incorrect checklists. We were dismayed to learn that Virgin had altered the standard Airbus drills to accommodate the airline's specific requirements, and our instructors hadn't been using or teaching us the Virginized drill. I was annoyed for 2 reasons. Our Airbus instructors had failed to teach us from the right checklists, and the Virgin trainers were giving us a hard time as if it was our fault. We all somehow got through the tests and, feeling somewhat peeved, returned to Blighty to await our next hurdle. After cramming for the past few weeks, it was lovely to have a few days off, but then we were back at the grindstone at Gatwick, going through our initial safety equipment training. Pleasantly in the hands of the delightful cabin crew trainers, we were introduced to the joys of door opening, except that there weren't any training doors yet, so we were coached all the way to Heathrow to await a landing 340 that had enough time to allow 10 or so eager beavers to play with a real aeroplane. Dodging the army of cleaners that were bustling around the cabins, we crowded around the doors and played at opening and closing them, trying not to fire any escape slides. Back in the classrooms, we were lectured on the safety equipment, and then got to play on a real inflated aircraft slide. Climbing up the scaffolding that held an old 747 slide, we took turns at slithering to the bottom. It looked great fun until I tried and realized just how fast an enthusiastic start got you going. When I reached the bottom, I found that the friction strips that were designed to slow you down had been worn completely smooth by many dainty bottoms that had gone before. My arse hit the solidly inflated end piece, and I heard a loud crack from my back as I was catapulted several feet into the air, landing in a heap beside the red high heels of our trainer. It took a couple of weeks for my dodgy old back to settle back down, and I was grateful that we only ever had to do that once. One morning we were up with the birds and in a local swimming pool to do our dinghy drills. In the RAF, these were an annual requirement, and we were thrown into an ocean from the back of a search and rescue pinnace before climbing into our little one-man dinghies. In the civvy world, things were a great deal more civilized, since we had joined up with a bevy of bouncy blonde bombshells in bikinis who were doing their cabin crew training as well. Much hilarity ensued as we helped them all into the huge, round, multi-person life raft that had been explosively inflated in the pool. Everyone successfully boarded the raft, with much giggling and swimming costumes more or less intact. Then it was time to put that black and gold uniform on for the very first time and report for duty at Heathrow to actually go flying. I was more than excited and had even done a test drive the day before to find the crew car park and make sure that my brand new barrier pass actually worked. I was glad I had, because Heathrow is surrounded by many crew car parks, and the photocopy of a photocopy of our photocopied instructions was far from clear. In addition, I soon discovered that waiting at the last bus shelter in the car park for the crew bus was a big mistake. At 5 o'clock in the morning, everyone came to work, and very quickly the bus was so full it didn't even stop at the last few stops. I eventually squeezed on, and after going through the tunnel under the runways, I followed a few similarly dressed crew off at the famous Queen's Building. It had once been the only terminal at Heathrow, but had now been relegated to offices and airline operations centres, including Virgin Atlantic. It was small and cramped in there, but noisy and happy as squealing cabin crew greeted old friends, and we dodged piles of identical suitcases to get to the pilot briefing area. Here we stood, wide-eyed and nervous like children on their first day at school. For many of us, it was our first airline, but some were old hands at this kind of thing, and I envied them. Our training captain, short, bluff, and grumpy, eventually arrived and led us through the paperwork before we trooped out like kids in a crocodile to the crew bus. We were doing a base training flight, and the main aim was for each of us to accomplish some circuits to roll, or as the civvy world called it, touch and go. Our aircraft was parked at a remote stand, so we bussed out across the aprons to where it was, some distance from the terminals. The captain and one first officer doing his line training clambered onto the flight deck. Flying to the airfield we were using that day would go towards the completion of a line training sector. The rest of us had a while to look around the 340. Gazing up at this mighty aircraft, it hit me again just how damn big it was. Up to now, we'd been flying the simulator, just a cockpit on hydraulic jacks, and it was easy to forget that the real thing was attached to 209 feet, 64 meters of fuselage. It was bigger than the Tower of Pisa, than Nelson's Column, than the Chicago Water Tower, than Walt Disney's Cinderella Castle, longer than 3 cricket pitches or the distance a baseball hitter sprints to get to second base. There were a crowd of guys watching the operating pilots in the front, winding up the 4 CFM56s, so, at the insistence of a crazy Australian on the course, we hunted for meal trays. More of that in a moment. We lurched out towards the runway. As I would find out, a fly-by-wire tiller isn't the easiest thing to get used to, and lined up. After jet fighters, I wasn't expecting anything very impressive, but since we were just about empty, and with a light fuel load, the French lady showed Heathrow her heels, and we were off the ground halfway down the runway. Then we headed southeast, bound for the old Air Force Base, RAF Manston, at the bottom right corner of Kent in England. Airfield still had a military presence, but was also a civilian commercial airport. Arriving in the circuit, the first officer climbed out of his seat and the first volunteer from our bunch climbed in. As he navigated his way around the circuit, our Australian mate lined us up in the aisles, standing on our meal trays. The huge airliner thumped down onto the runway. The power came up, and then the deck pitched as it climbed back up to circuit height. This was accompanied by a big Aussie shout of, "Go!" With the cabin now angled at some 15 degrees, it became a long slide, and giggling like the schoolgirls we'd become, we slid careering along the carpet towards the tail. Some hit the rubber floor of a passing galley and came a cropper. Others were sabotaged by those behind, who heaved them into a row of empty seats. Some of us made it right to the back. Out of breath, but shouting with delight, we pounded back up to the front in time for the next touch and go. Eventually, I had to calm down and crept up to the flight deck door to watch a few circuits being flown, and when it came to my turn, I slid into the uncomfortably hot right-hand seat and put my hands on the controls. After only a few seconds, I had to relax my grip and stop over-controlling, as there was a great temptation to move the stick in response to every twitch and bump, instead of letting the machine's own stability return it to level flight. Gear and flaps rumbled out on my commands, and I came round the corner to aim at Manston's massive runway. Built for B-52s, it was plenty big enough for us. I listened to the cadence of the radio altimeter call-outs, and at 50, I eased the nose up a little as we passed over the piano keys. At 30 feet, I started a gentle flare and waited for the retard call to close the thrust levers. We settled onto the runway and I breathed again. A flurry of activity from the captain, moving trim and flaps, and then he gave the order to stand up the throttles. He called for toga and we were off. We had plenty of time, so I got 4 more, and then I retired to the back, where our Australian had got the entertainment system running. I looked at my hands, and there was only a gentle tremor as the adrenaline wore off, but I'd done it. The very next day, the Civil Aviation Authority at Gatwick stamped and signed my license. Aircraft Rating Certificate of Test A340, and I was on my way.
Yay!
This all sounds a bit self-congratulatory, doesn't it?
It does, but
no, well, that's
you
not
deserve
a good thing.
Well, you're a former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, so we expect that.
Fair enough. I'm also
And you're a pilot,
A340 tobogganing champion, so...
wow, that sounds like fun.
That was fun, actually. Yes, it was great.
No, you should have taken those dining trays on the slide of the 747 trainer, that you went launching off of earlier in your journey. That would have been quite something.
The slide, I didn't want to go near that damn thing ever again.
So I really enjoyed the slide of the bikini clad, although they weren't wearing bikinis, or were wearing one pieces, sadly, that you had there. Liz is going to show us again. Ooh. Oh,
well,
no,
actually, look carefully. It's all the same girl.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. I don't know.
And there's at least one bikini in there.
I was so focused on the slide being used as a raft, I didn't even notice the ladies in the foreground.
Oh, dear.
And the other one, I think, was particularly interesting to me. Well, that one, yes, the Three Musketeers. That's your face, isn't it? The lead musketeer.
Yeah, I had to put a false moustache on because I didn't have one in those days. But yeah, you think? No, that's Dr. Kildare. That is.
Oh, okay.
Don't you remember Dr. Kildare? Yeah, Richard Chamberlain.
Oh, okay. Well, the other one that was interesting to me was the fact I can't believe that the Queen's security services allowed you to get as close as you did on the tarmac of the Heathrow Airport Terminal 3 or Terminal 1 Queen's building. I mean, you're just about touching her, Captain Nick.
Well, she was in the way. I was trying to get to work, and there was this huge crowd, and this little old lady. Oh, she wasn't that old then, but... yes,
it's surprisingly similar to another photograph of you standing in front of your quarters. Oh yeah, look at that! It's like the same pose. Huh.
Well, it's my classic hand in pocket,
Oh, yes, I was. A very nice photo of croissant and a lovely coffee with I guess it's a flat white or something. It's a very small Demitasse espresso cup with some beautiful latte art.
Absolutely. Yeah, that looks so nice. I'd like to drink one right now.
I would love to have one right now. Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyway, well done again on the plain
Thanks,
tale,
sir.
Captain Nick. Very enjoyable.
I
It
don't
doesn't
think you
matter.
did.
Hardly
It was
anybody.
fine.
Hardly anybody sees the actual video. It'll be all different in the actual audio podcast. So, yeah, let's see. What anyone's in particular that we want to make sure? Yeah. Yeah, that would be a good one. Okay. Yeah. Let's do that. Okay, which one's less? I'm trying to... 7. Okay, I got the one that says less. Yeah. Okay. I'm always looking for less yaw.
Well,
right.
yeah, I know. More pitch, less yaw.
Uh-huh. Okay, here we go. Time for some feedback.
Captain, incoming message.
The fine gentleman on the APG team, Jim Mercado, the one who designed the APG logo art, the Fly Acme Airlines art that we see every week.
Which I spend a lot of my
that.
time trying to hide, whereas I ought
know.
to be
I think
perhaps making more of it.
If my name were Jim Mercado, I think I'd be offended, Captain
Yes.
Nick, that your attempts to hide
Sorry,
that
Jim.
beautiful artwork. Anyway, he said he sent in some feedback. He said, "Hi, Jeff. Hope you're doing well. We're overdue for a catch-up." Well, you never know what you'll find. I was driving around Los Angeles last week and drove through Van Nuys a week ago, and I just happened to drive by this. After some research, I found that it looks like a DC-9 from an old Mexican airline called Aero California. It has a Mexican flag on the side, and I see a built-in staircase for the 1A door. And let's see, it was in front of a business called Aerocon Engineering, just rotting away. I'm assuming the fuselage part, not the business. Strange but fun finding this. I thought you would enjoy this. And then he said, after more digging, I found X-Ray Alpha Sierra Whiskey Hotel at Mojave before it was cut up. So I don't know. I think he sent... Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't see it either. Well, hopefully I'll dig it up. I remember seeing it, Jim, and I will put that in our show notes.
I love that
here.
last one because it looks like the fuselage is just a bunch of bushes.
I think I'm able to present this on, let's see, where is the... I'm trying to find. Where is everybody? Wave your hand so I can find
Over here.
Oh, okay. I see you now. I'm going to present this. Stop screen sharing. Present. Share screen again. And let me go to this window here and share. Okay. There we go. If you can put that on the stay. Here we go. I'll do it. Oh, there we go. That's what he did some digging and found the actual intact fuselage minus some engines. Yeah, at the boneyard at Mojave. So what he saw in front of that business was just the front portion. And I will also add, and I know a lot of people out there already know this, the DC-9 and then the McDonnell Douglas 80 series, 90 series, and even the Boeing 717, I think. That little area where there's the air stair door right below the front left entry door is there on all of the airplanes. However, most of them don't actually have air stairs. Yeah, air stairs inside, but I guess it was probably too much work to try to just eliminate the hatch or the cover. Yeah, it's a dummy door basically. Yeah, and I don't think I don't even think. Yeah, that's where all the big dummies walk through. But the air stair, no, I don't know. Aero California actually may have been using, real air stairs inside that thing. Just with Delta, none of ours, none of the ones I flew. The
So
MD-88,
what dummy
MD-90.
did you keep behind that door?
Oh, like the ventriloquist dummy.
Ah,
That's what I'd like to. Yeah, or the first officer. Yeah. Hey, dummy.
wait.
Go back in your place.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Sorry,
You do have to be very short. Well, you can crawl in sideways. All right. Thank you, Jim, for sending that in. And what a find. Yeah, I remember Aero California when I was growing up. Yeah, I remember that airline and those colors. Okay, and then finally, we're going to read this from Les Yaw. He is the father of a Delta Airlines pilot, but he's a full-time professional trucker. Pardon me? Yeah, I think, or the 330 maybe. I think his son is a 330. Maybe he's a 350 guy now. Some kind of an Airbus, big wide body.
Lucky
Anyway,
man.
not him, but the airplane. All right, so he sends this in. Hi, APG crew, Iowa trucker Les here. All the reported near-miss incidents does give me, as a non-pilot, cause for concern. In particular, I commend the Southwest Airline flight crew for having situational awareness when a general aviation jet taxied across their runway at Midway, Chicago. Yeah, we agree. In trucking, many companies subscribe to various safety coaching companies. The one system I keep in mind with every mile I drive is from Smith Systems and has 5 simple steps to remain safe. Remember, he's a professional truck driver, one of the big lorries, or you guys call them, or we call them 18-wheelers here, or tractor trailers. What do you call them, Liz? Oh,
Well, that's the type of license, you need a heavy goods vehicle license, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, number 1 from Smith Systems is aim high in your steering. Number 2, get the big picture. Number 3, keep your eyes moving. 4, leave yourself an out. And 5, make sure they can see you. And when he mentions aim high in your steering, that means don't stare at the first 50 feet in front of you. Look ahead. I try to look at other vehicles and guess what can that person do to mess up my day. Number 2, big picture. Use not only the windshield, but side mirrors as well on a regular scan to see what's happening. Yeah, you got to be looking out in front of you and see what's going on behind you as well, and to the side of you if you can. Number 3, keep your eyes moving. Again, don't focus just on the lane in front of you. Watch the intersecting side roads for someone to get you. Yeah, I kind of do that too, going through intersections, because I've seen a few T-boned cars because people not paying attention and not seeing that they have a red light, and they just go zooming right through the intersection and then just T-boning the car in front of me. So you have to kind of, before you go through those intersections, it's always a great idea to kind of do a glance to the left and the right before you make your way through. I'm not saying stop, but just kind of be aware of what might be approaching the intersection from the sides. Let's see. Make sure they can see you. On the road, I always have my headlights on. When moving slowly, I have my 4-way flashers on to attract attention. If I'm backing up, again, 4-ways on. Going down the road, truckers are encouraged to have their flashers on if going less than 45 miles per hour on the interstate, on the highway, or up a hill. Just this
week. You might
week.
have just missed one there, Jeff.
Did I?
Leaving out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Leaving out. Make sure you have some maneuvering space to keep you safe. Yeah, I remember that from my driver's training when I was 15 years old, before I got my driver's license. I took a course, and that was one of those that I remember, always leave your cell phone out. Always be looking to where can you put your car if you have to get, avoid something in front of you. It's definitely important. He said, just this week, I witnessed 2 trucks collide at a 4-way stop in rural southwest Minnesota. The flatbed hauling a large John Deere tractor in front of me stopped, then proceeds across the highway. A loaded livestock hauler coming from our left didn't see the stop sign until it was too late to stop. No one was injured, but the colliding trucks also collected an innocent service truck and a station wagon, all ending upright in the same ditch. Well, that's good. At least there were no injuries and nobody was upside down. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I often think that,
in
poor
the photo,
things
I don't know.
on
That
their
could have
way
been
to
a jarring ride.
And they're probably not going to get looked after for quite a while until they get that trailer hooked up to something else. All good stuff, though, isn't it, Jeff? Very, very good, and a good reminder to us.
I'm sorry. I think it's my internet connection is doing something bad.
Oh,
is anybody garbled?
No.
Okay. What's coming into me is garbled.
Okay.
So must be something going on with my internet here for some reason. Shouldn't be.
We're nearly at the end, so.
Yeah. Okay, we'll wrap it up. Yes, thank you very much, Les. Good advice, good safety tips for safe driving. And as our producer says, it's time for us to wrap it up. And what we like to do is draw your attention to our website, airlinepilotguy.com, where you'll find information about the crew and the community, and we have a library, and we have merchandise, and we have more information about the plane tales, and so much more. So please head over to airlinepilotguy.com to check it out. And we are also on social media. And Captain Nick, will you do the honors, please?
Oh, most certainly. If you're a Facebook fan, go to facebook.com/airlinepilotguy. That's all one word. And on X, we're at APG Crew. Now, if you're an Instagram fan and you want to see the artwork, that's just about all we put there. But instagram.com/APG Crew. Again, that's joined up. And if you want to see the sausage being made or the pizza being laid or whatever you fancy, youtube.com/airline pilot guy. Again, all one word.
Very good. And, just right on cue, I hear in the second bathroom, of course, the guest bathroom. Hey, Hillel, can you tell us about Slack?
Okay, but I'm dripping wet.
That's okay. Be careful. That floor might be slippery. All right. He's going to come over here.
Slippery when wet.
Slippery when wet, for sure. Okay, here. Tell us about Slack, if you don't mind.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas. We suggest episode and Plain Tales topics. We plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com. Or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thanks a lot, Hillel.
Mind if I use your razor, Jeff?
Yes, I do mind.
It's all right. He's only going to shave his groin.
Well, of course. What else would you do with it? All right. And also, we'd like to thank our wonderful producer, Liz.
Well, not quite as sharp as usual today for some reason. Sorry about the slide.
It was an off day for all of us today, I think.
Anyway, great to be with you guys.
No, you did perfectly. And, so thank you so much, Liz.
My pleasure. Always my pleasure.
Fingers crossed with the weather, Liz.
Yeah, I'm just looking out the windows. I think I'm seeing some ice formation out there.
Oh, no. ice skating rink. I hope you're not going to go out and drive anywhere.
No, I'm not going anywhere. Poppy can just slide around out on the patio when she needs to go
Oh.
out, so that's what she can do.
Okay.
She's got
Cool.
4 legs, so you can handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very true.
Okay, very good. Well, it was great doing the show with the all the old folks.
The
and
old
I'm-
goats.
Old
I thought
goats?
you were going to say
Old
that.
goats. I'm amongst that group of folks.
Oh, you're the goat, the greatest
yeah.
of all time.
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and thank also our wonderful live audience. In the
Hey,
live chat.
great to see everyone.
Always great
Grinner,
to see you all.
Grinner, we haven't seen
Yeah,
him for
Grinner
a while.
was here, and it's been a
Ah,
while.
he
He
was-
said.
He was just saying I need to go to a tornado reunion that's coming up. So, because he'll be there. That's the reason. The only reason I go is and have a beer
Okay.
with Grinner.
Well, I know it's your favorite airplane, so you should have some
Well,
fun.
yeah, I would try to pretend I wasn't a tornado pilot.
You were just visiting.
Yeah, just visiting the
Yeah.
pilot.
Yeah, just wanted to see what this is all about.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thank you for watching, if you're watching the video, and listening, most of you are doing, to our show. Tell your friends and give us a good review and all that jazz. But we're going to sign off with telling you that we wish you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care, and God bless.
Bye, everybody.
See you next time.
Yay.
All righty. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Good
All
job.
right.
Another one in the can.
Another one in the can, exactly. Just over 2
did
hours, Jeff, so you'll be happy. Okay,
Oh,
so some titles, and some of them came from the chat. If you've got some more, please. First one I have for you, Nick, is Jimmy Fried as Frisbee.
Jimmy fried his frisbee.
Uh-huh.
Is that some kind of innuendo?
Yeah, I think so. That was mine. This next one is from Tim Van Ram. Cooking Heathrow with oil. So
Oh, yeah, I got that. Cooking
that
with
one?
oil. Yes.
Cooking with oil.
Yep.
The luck bucket. You talked about the luck bucket, so I sort of thought
Oh,
might do
okay.
something with that. The luck bucket.
Like it?
And then I think this was another Tim. I'm not sure. Drag wings. So he's talking about drag. So dragging your wings along the runway, drag wings. I don't know what he was going.
What, you mean like a drag artist?
Yeah, I
think
think he
that's
was.
what
I
he's
think that's where
probably
he was going with it. But
Knowing
anyway.
Tim, that's probably what he had on.
Okay, got that.
And then last but not least is dummy door. Dummy door. So sort of maybe you could do something with that.
You big dummy.
And then
Get in there,
I think,
you big
I think
dummy.
Micah has one, but it's very long here, Nick. Special Air Service radio silence. Special Air Service radio silence. I think that's everybody's. Did I miss any
Okay.
guys?
Cool.
There?
Got it.
You got-
got them all.
You got something you think you can work with there?
Yep.
That's what she was asking.
There's something. There's something there.
There's something
I'm
here I
sure.
can work with.
There's something here. Something here.
Well, something,
That's
something.
what she said.
Well, thanks everybody. Jeff's got to get himself organized and off to church in a little bit.
Yep.
And
Go do some singing.
I don't know what Nick's probably going to have dinner soon, I guess.
Yeah, Julie's cooking up spaghetti bolognese.
Well, I'm going to have spaghetti tomorrow
all
night.
right.
Maybe I should have it too then.
There you go. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks
Masha.
everybody for being with us. We'll see you next time.
You're
Bye.
welcome, Masha.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Love y'all.
Love all y'all.